So when you get a notification in a second, there it is, just know that your webcam is not being streamed in any way. It's just mine because I'm being spotlighted. But what that does mean is that if ever you want to repeat any of these sessions or the practices, then you can find the recordings on the StudyStream YouTube channel. Okay, so for those of you I have never met, my name is Solomon. I'm the lead mindfulness teacher here at StudyStream. We have a few other wonderful teachers who occasionally take sessions. And in fact, on Friday, there is the wonderful Lynn making a return. So for those of you who have met her, you know how great she is. And for those of you who haven't, yeah, show up for that one because she's awesome. So the way that these sessions work is that I'll spend a couple of minutes at the beginning just introducing an aspect or a theme of mindfulness. Then we'll move into a meditation practice, and even if you've never meditated before, that's absolutely fine. You don't need to have. I'm going to guide us through and just talk us all through every step of the way. And then afterwards, we open up the chat box. You guys can ask me some questions. Let me know how you found the meditation, what you noticed. And then after half an hour, our session is done and I head off and you guys can unmute and chat and hang out as a community. So that's how it works. Just firstly to say a couple of words about myself. As I said, my name is Sol. Right now I'm sitting in Brighton. It's a little city in the south coast of England in the UK. So I'm near London, used to live in London. And yeah, I'm a mindfulness teacher. So I teach in schools and universities and some businesses as well. Yeah, I also run run most of the mindfulness stuff that we do here as well. And this is, don't tell anyone, this is my favorite thing. So don't tell those businesses and other universities, this is the best. So the theme for today's session is kind of based around lifelong learning. So being a student of life rather than seeing learning as something that takes place just while we're in formal education, while we're in school or university. Sometimes people get to the end of their studies and you know, they qualify or they pass their exams or whatever it may be. And there's a real sense of this attitude of, I'm really glad I'm done with that. Like, that's over. Now I can move on to the next thing. I no longer have to study. I no longer have to learn. And while I really understand this, it makes a lot of sense. And there was a big part of me as well when I graduated university. I had some of those similar feelings. I think it's also a little bit of a shame. I think it's a bit of a shame that we see that time for the most curious aspect of our lives is being over. And so I think that's what fundamentally today's session is about. It's about curiosity, partly because it makes life interesting and fun, and it allows us to keep progressing and learning new skills and finding out new things about ourselves and new subjects. But also, I think all of our learning is stacked on top of the foundation of curiosity. Everything seems to flow a lot more easily. We're more willing to get down to our studies. We're more likely to learn and memorize the things that we're studying if we have that base of curiosity. And curiosity is a skill that we are able to develop. It's not just that we happen to find something interesting or not, and that's the end of it. Sure, certain things we just naturally find ourselves drawn towards more, but there will always be the occasional subject, topic, essay that we have to write that we just don't, for whatever reason, easily connect to. So part of mindfulness training is looking interested into and around the context of every aspect of our experience. And I think this is so helpful for cultivating a lifetime's worth of learning. And also that really helps us in our studies, because as I said, if we really find something uninteresting, it's a real struggle to force ourselves to get down to and learn what we need to. And after that as well, we're not likely to take in as much. But if we can find some aspect of it that we can just suspend judgment and suspend a sense of knowing, if we can come at this with what we call a beginner's mind, we can come at this with a perspective of, okay, Let's just take a look and see what there is to be found here. Then hopefully this builds competence, competence builds confidence, and this builds a sense of flow where we're just effortlessly learning and developing and keeping on going. So that's what we're here today to develop as a skill, curiosity. And that's what I'm going to guide you through, different aspects of our experience, just sitting here and just as best we can, being curious in everything that is around us right now. So let's give it a go. We're going to begin by firstly noticing how curious we are about the topic of curiosity. And already just noticing our initial reaction towards that. Do we find that we're already switched off a little bit? Do we find that this is something we're being pulled towards? Is it something as best as we can, just for the moment, to suspend judgment, if there is any? And just say, okay, well, I'm going to take this on for a moment. I'm going to put down whatever it is that's nearby that might be distracting me or taking up some amount of my attention, and just put that to one side for the next few minutes. And I do invite you to do that if you're able to make that decision. And then let's take a little look around the room that we're sitting in. And we're going to begin by developing some curiosity just for the things that we can see all around us. And it may seem a little bit strange. Everything may look very familiar. They're the surroundings we probably spend a lot of time in. But let's just take a little look and imagine we were seeing this for the first time. Imagining we were walking into this room for the first ever time. What might we notice? What colors and shades of colors do we notice that maybe we're so used to the color, we never really actually take it in? And how about the shapes and the angles of the walls, the wardrobes maybe, the bed, the mirrors, the lampshades, the plants, the tables? What are their shapes? What are their angles? What lines do you notice? And just as you just go around, you don't need to have your eyes darting from one thing quickly to the next. Allow them. Notice where your curiosity is automatically pulled, and allow your mind to settle there for a moment or two before moving on to the next thing. And what about textures? Do some surfaces look quite smooth and maybe shiny? Are some harsher, grainier maybe, rougher? Maybe looking up at the ceiling for a moment and noticing if there's any subtlety in what there is up there to notice. Maybe a shadow, a mark, an insect. What's going on up there right now? This space where we maybe spend a lot of time but rarely really appreciate the environment within which we're in. And then coming back again and finding a way of sitting that's going to feel comfortable. As we take our attention away from the visual field and we close our eyes, we turn our attention towards the auditory field. So we turn it in towards what sounds we can hear that are taking place all around us. So just like with sights, just noticing whatever sounds happen to be present now. And just as we looked around the room, noticing sounds coming from all different directions. In front of us and behind, and to the sides, and above and below. This space where we spend so much of our time, tuning into the sounds that are already taking place all around you without any need to go searching for them. just as if our body were a microphone, receiving whatever sound is present. So at first you can allow yourself to notice the more obvious sounds, the louder, more harsh sounds. And then shifting to notice the quieter, the more subtle sounds. And the sounds within sounds. Usually we think a sound is just one note, one tone. Seeing if we pay attention to it, it's made up of multiple notes. Noticing sounds that are coming in from outside. So there may be the sound of birds, or the wind, or traffic going past, as well as sounds that are coming from the room that you're in. Maybe the sound of a computer, creaking of a chair. Maybe the voice of someone who you live with. Maybe even sounds that are taking place within you. Subtle movement of the body, sound of breathing. Without any need to strain to hear, just encouraging and allowing this sense of curiosity around your experience to naturally bubble up. Seeing what there is to notice without any expectation. As we shift our attention now into the body, to be curious into the sensations of the body breathing. So beginning by noticing that place where you notice that movement most obviously of the breath coming in and out of the body. Choosing perhaps the nostrils, the air flowing in and out. Or maybe the rise and fall of the chest. Or even the expansion and the falling back of the belly. Bringing this sense of curiosity to this movement, to this felt sensation of the body responding and moving as you breathe. Really allowing yourself to notice in quite detail what that movement or that sensation is made up of. And as best you can, paying attention for the full duration of each in-breath. And for the full duration of each out-breath. And being curious as to those moments where the breath pauses and turns a corner. And tuning into how that feels too. If you notice the mind wander at any point, as you surely will, just recognizing this as a moment of awareness, of mindfulness. Just bringing the mind back again gently to curiously observing the breath, where you notice it most clearly. And if you notice that any of these thoughts that arise during this practice bring with them an emotional charge, some emotion of disliking or maybe liking, again, noticing this with curiosity, seeing this as an aspect of your experience, and then letting it go and coming back to the breath. As we now increase the scope of our curiosity to take in the body as a whole, the whole body sitting here, breathing. And noticing any and all movements of the body moving as you breathe. The sense of the body being breathed rather than any need for you to direct the breath. Realizing you can allow the body to breathe by itself. Your job is merely to tune into the movements, the sensations of the body as you move. Maybe there's a gentle rocking motion in the back and shoulders. Maybe the head adjusts slightly at the top of the spine as you breathe in and out. Maybe there's even a sense of movement down in the feet, where they touch against the floor. And then just opening to any and all sensations, whatever you notice, whether related to the breath or not. The touch of the body against the chair. Headphones against the ears, maybe. The weight or the tightness of clothes. A gentle breeze against the skin. Just being curious and opening to any aspect of your felt experience. And each time just noticing. Remembering that this mindfulness practice is one without expectation, without a sense of achievement or judgment. Practice is merely to become aware, to notice whatever the experience happens to be as it unfolds moment by moment. So as we come towards the end of this practice, perhaps just setting a gentle intention to bring this sense of curiosity into the next thing that you do today. Just like with our studies, we can bring curiosity to learning throughout our lives, not just while we're students. In the same way, we can bring a sense of curiosity, not just to this time that we share together, but to all moments throughout the day. And we can see what changes in our experience when we bring that curiosity to it. And so with the sound of that bell, maybe just bringing the attention down into the feet, maybe having a sense of groundedness and stability. Bringing a gentle bit of movement into the body, a gentle stretch or a massage. Really just tuning into what the body would appreciate. And if the eyes are closed, you're welcome to slowly open them back up again and maybe take in the room around you just for another 30 seconds. With that sense of curiosity to just take in the surroundings and see what there is to be noticed now. And then I'm going to open up the chat box. Well, it's open. You can send me a message. You can find my name, Solomon, and be really interested to know how you found that practice, how you relate maybe to this idea of curiosity being a skill, and what we might have there to be gained by bringing it into more moments of our experience and to our studies as well. And if we can bring curiosity to our studies, how that maybe provides a little bit of more motivation, makes studying that little bit more easily because we're already interested in it. We're able to bring that interest to our studies. And also, of course, if you want to ask me any questions, then you can do that too. Okay, let's take a look. First comments are about the lights behind me. So that's a curiosity, I suppose. I'm glad you like the lights. Thank you. Let's have a look. So we have the session is so soothing. It just rebooted my mind. Had thousands of thoughts going through my mind before the session, and now it's free. Well, thank you for that. Really interesting bit of feedback. And it's a really interesting learning point of a meditation practice, how by focusing our attention in one particular place, when we're really locked on to one place, all the other busyness of the mind can sometimes just start to dial down a little bit. It doesn't always happen that way. Sometimes we notice when we take ourselves away from distraction and attempt to point our minds in one place, then actually we notice how much background noise there can be, and it can actually be a little bit challenging, so we notice how much busyness there is. But sometimes, yeah, we really notice how that stuff can quieten down. Okay, we have, I think being curious brings so much meaning and depth to things, even if they seemed not that interesting. Yeah, I love that. I sometimes set myself a little game, a little task of trying to be curious just about everything that's in my surroundings, and just finding some kind of link. It's not an intellectual pursuit per se. It's just like, wow, what can I find fascinating about this object, for example, and really utilizing all of the senses. What can I see about it that's interesting? There's some way I can interact with it that produces a sound that feels interesting. Can I feel it, touch it? Is there an interesting texture that can feel interesting? And I'm trying to develop that curiosity muscle in my mind, so that when I come out of that practice, I've boosted my curiosity, and that will naturally come into other aspects of my experiences. Next comment is, your voice is relaxing, and even though I couldn't focus, it felt relaxing, and it's my first day today. Wow. Okay, beautiful. Really glad we have some people who are new to these sessions. So welcome. Thanks for coming. I hope you come to more, and I'm really glad that you found it relaxing. And many people in this room, I'm sure, would agree that it can be very difficult sometimes to focus. So that's great. There's no sense of judgment or sense that we need to have a particular experience to do this well. Okay, one more comment. I always feel at peace during meditation. I find it really helpful. Thank you so much. Beautiful. Thank you as well. Any last comments or questions before we head out? Oh, that's a good reminder for me. I'm going to put out a little poll, which I've done a couple of times before. So we're going to be hopefully launching a new initiative that is going to be available initially to students who come along to these mindfulness sessions. Working title is Tea Time with StudyStream, where we're going to be having some sessions where just a few of us get together to discuss things that around subjects of well-being and productivity, the kinds of things that we often end up talking about and discussing in these sessions, in these parts of the sessions after the meditations. So in a sec, I'll launch that poll, and if you are interested, you can vote, and then you might be receiving an invitation to come along. It's just going to be a few of us, a few students. I'll be there as well to just be a part of it as well. Okay. Last couple of comments. It's a very relaxing moment. It's calming and soothing. As we grow old, we unconsciously slightly lose our curiosity. If we're all too busy and focused to survive in our daily habits, it's good to feel curious again. Yeah, thank you for that comment. And it's very true. You use the word habit there. Habits are really wonderful things. They are when we repeat actions, our mind stores that. It kind of squishes it, stores it in a different part of the brain, so we can do it automatically. So we can have these skills just operating with very little conscious effort and thought, which is a really, really great thing. But what it can mean is that we give over more and more of our life just to automatic habits. So there's less room for curiosity. There's less space for innovation. So these practices really help us come out of those habitual ways of being, to really check in with ourselves and notice what we're doing, and gives us that ability to make those decisions. Someone says, I was curious that your plant on your shelf was missing. Oh, you've really just helped me out. That's so funny. Yeah, so I take all of my plants and then I put them in the bath and I water them all, and then they go back everywhere. And I could not work out where two of my plants are meant to go. I was like, I'm sure I had two leftover plants. So one I put on my desk here, which was meant to go there. So you're absolutely right. There we go. That's one, and I'll grab the other one later. Thank you so much. That's really quite helpful. I was wondering where they were meant to go. One question is, where would we receive the invitation for our tea sessions? On our emails. Yeah, that's right. All you need to do is vote in here, and then we know who's voted, and then we can email it to you. That's right. Thank you for the great session. It was my first time though, found it really helpful. Beautiful, thank you. And last one, I have a question that might not be so related to today's theme. Do you have any tips that might help with procrastinating? Yeah, I mean, procrastination is a whole big subject, but it does relate to today's session. I think we can't I mean, procrastination in a way is a form of avoidance, right? So it's like we know that we should be doing something and we choose to procrastinate and essentially just find other things to do so that we don't have to do the thing that we're doing, that we're meant to be doing. And that might be for a variety of reasons. But whatever the reason, if we can develop enough curiosity around the thing that we're avoiding, that we're procrastinating around, then really there's no space left for procrastination anymore. So even if we're avoiding work because we find it really difficult and it stresses us out, or it seems boring, or whatever it may be, if we can just find one aspect, we can bring a curious mindset to it, then actually procrastination just disappears because there's nothing to avoid because we've developed interest in the subject, and so we maybe will be encouraged to tune into it and get on with it. But really good question, and we can look at that a little bit more in a future session as well. Okay, so we've come to 8:01 p.m. my time, which means that it's the end of the sessions. I'm going to head off, and you guys will be able to unmute and chat and hang out, which is awesome. Whoa, let's do that poll before I leave very quickly. Nearly forgot. There we go, guys. So if you want to vote, then I'll give you just 30 seconds to do that. Cool. Everyone done? Nearly? Don't want to rush you. All right. I think that's everyone. Thank you, guys. And the poll. I will see you not on Friday, but on Monday. Do turn up again at this time on Friday. These sessions happen every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at the same time. So come along on Friday and Lynn will be running the session. Thank you, guys. I will see you on Monday. Bye, guys. Bye-bye.